Hello and welcome back to another week of the Pauper Premier League. We are getting ready for our last match. I'm Alex Ullman. I'm here with Kendra Smith. And Kendra, what matchup are we looking at right now or about to be looking at?
So we've got Brian Coval on Sultai Teachings, which has been very impressive tonight. It's 1-1 so far, but it's been putting up some really fun, some really interesting games.
No, Brian's 2-0.
Oh, he's 2-0? Jeez.
He's 2-0.
Guess I haven't been tracking who's been winning what so much.
He's going up against Joseph Harani on Blue-White Familiars. So this could be a long one, folks. Settle in. It's 1:30 here for me on the East Coast and for Kendra and for Brian. Joseph's the lucky one.
Just a little bit at this point.
Joseph's the lucky one where it's only 10:30 where he is. I saw in the chat someone's waking up in England, so good morning. Sure.
Yeah, but this is going to be a very, very long, very grinding match, and it's going to be very interesting. A lot of back and forth play going on here between Mystical Teachings' hard control deck and Joseph Harani's combo deck.
You know, I think game one Brian's advantaged.
Yeah, for sure. But if Joseph is able to kind of actually go off at all, he can just run away with this game.
Yeah. Game 2, I'm really interested to see what happens because Brian gets an extra Nihil Spellbomb, but doesn't have much else besides Negate. Meanwhile, Joseph gets Mystic Remora, and we saw that game, it draw a ton of cards in a game where it didn't really matter. But, you know, Brian also has Desert, which is just a colorless land for the most part in this matchup, unless Joseph just decides to attack with his 2/1s. I know we're getting close to being ready, so what do you like? Do you like Joseph getting his first, putting a win on the board? Or do you like Brian going 3-0?
It would be sweet to see Brian go 3-0. I know I saw a lot of people being like, man, I don't know that Teachings really can get there in this kind of, against these decks. And we're just seeing Brian sweep. And not only that, but he really knows this deck very, very well. And when you see a control deck that knows exactly what they're doing, they're in the driver's seat.
Let's get to it. Let's go to the match.
Heck yeah.
Okay. And Brian's on the play, and he has the best possible turn 1 play in Nihil Spellbomb.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real killer against Joseph here, because Joseph's whole thing relies on him pulling stuff out of the graveyard, basically.
Yeah, but Brian doesn't have a third land drop. That's pretty big here.
It is, but we have seen him turn the corner from a very low land count before.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's getting here just quite yet.
No. Looks like, Cloud Conceer. Is Joseph going to go on the beatdown plan? And another whiff. Okay. Augur of Bolas netting a
Changes
Edict, but no black land. So I think, Augur goes attacking.
Yeah. And but we're probably just going to... The moment that Brian hits his third land, and I think that's why he probably kept this, because first off, the Nihil Spellbomb is fantastic on its own, and then you're literally just 1 mana away from having like a perfect setup, because you can go Mulldrifter, you can go... the Trinket Mage, and there you go. There's the third land. So we're probably just going to see a Mulldrifter here, but we could also see Trinket Mage. Trinket Mage can go in for a land here.
It can only get a Seed of the Synod. And he needs a black
the only one. That's kind of what I thought, which is unfortunate.
So
I wish there was a Vault of Whispers in there, but what can you do?
Brian doesn't know this, but Joseph is on the beatdown plan.
Mm-hmm.
If he did know that, I think what I would do if I was Brian is go get Astrolabe, so I have black mana next turn. But Joseph is drawing all his attackers and none of his combo pieces.
Yeah.
Outside of Snap. So Snap's really cool with Sunscape Familiar in that it costs 1 and can untap 2 lands, and Joseph could generate a ton of mana. Meanwhile, Brian is just missing swamps, missing black sources.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling to really get his footing here. And he finds the Seed of the Synod, but that's not going to really be enough here. Because now Joseph's just going to get tons and tons of value going off here.
Joseph has a 3-turn clock.
Mm-hmm. And depending on what he can find here, might even be less than that.
So Joseph gets to cast Deep Analysis for 2.
Mm-hmm.
Finds a Mulldrifter, which he can cast for 3. He is on a 1-turn clock. Brian needs to find a swamp and doesn't, and that's game.
Yeah, that's gonna seal it up right there.
That was a much fast, like any black source. So now
we're gonna go to our sideboard.
Mystic Remor is coming in for sure.
100%. We've definitely
Dispel.
seen all the spells coming in.
What else do we have coming in? So Brian looks like he's bringing the Negate, the Dispel. I would side out the Weather the Storm.
He's bringing it? No, that's the Return to Nature there.
Yeah, that's the Disenchant that can also exile a card from the graveyard.
Yeah, it looks like he's pulling off that Weather the Storm there.
Yeah, smart. What's Joseph doing?
It's a little hard to tell. Godpharaoh's Eternals are out.
Godpharaoh's Faithful, yeah.
Faithful, rather. The Stonehorn Dignitary came out as well, it looks like. All of which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And it looks like Joseph's just looking for one more cut. Looks like he took out a Seagate Oracle.
I don't know how I feel about that. It's probably the worst card, but still seems good.
Right. Because you do still want that Sage's Road Denizen that's like your combo finisher if you happen to get the Snap Mnemonic Wall combo going on there.
You know what I think the cut actually is? I think it's Cloud Conceer. Just because it's vulnerable to Desert.
Yes, it's also very vulnerable to the Echoing Decays if he has multiples.
Yeah.
So
Joseph, for anyone who saw Joseph play in the MCQ finals from GPLA, you'll know that he's very active with his cards, and he does it even online by highlighting, shuffling his hand. Joseph is a frenetic player, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player.
He's a very tight player, yeah.
So here we go. Got our hand set up. Man, Brian's hand looks a lot better this time around, and Joseph's just that's not going to do it.
No. It looks... I mean, Brian's hand looks like a keep, for sure.
It looks like our hand, Joseph's hand is shifted just ever so slightly, so we're missing one little bit of information there.
But I don't think Joseph can mulligan that just because the hand doesn't go so fast. Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of lost it there briefly, but the last card was a Cloud Conceer. There you go. Yeah. So now we have Sunscape Familiar going into a Cloud Conceer with holding up Dispel, and that actually feels a little bit better. That feels pretty good.
Do you say
this should be a good game.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. This is definitely, there's not a lot going on in their starting hands, but it's going to be very exciting going forward here.
Okay. So Brian's leaning on the Dismal Backwater.
Mm-hmm. Which is smart.
Do you set up... Did he set in... Is that the 4/4? Did Brian set in Bastion Inventor?
Yep, he did, because you can't snap it back or anything like that. And obviously, Joseph took out all of his Stonehorns and such, because these don't make sense here. Yeah. So bringing in a little bit of that beatdown plan actually kind of makes some sense from Brian's side of the board.
Sure, but it's still not coming down for a number of turns.
Sure,
there's no Astrolabes to cheat it out.
Right, but you're playing the control game anyway, so you wanted to take that long period of time anyhow.
So this is interesting. Joseph went for Island instead of Plains for the Cloud Conceer. Basically, he did not set up a Cloud Conceer after the Wall. You know what? He probably didn't want to expose Wall to Chainer's Edict. That was a very tight play from Joseph.
Yep.
So what do you do here if you're Brian? Apparently you play Augur of Bolas.
And that makes sense. And then found another edict. So now it's pretty, just with all the edicts in hand, it's just easy. Just snap off the Chainer's Edict there while you can.
I actually think you snap off Diabolic there because you know most of Joseph's interaction is Dispel.
That makes sense.
You know, I was in the booth with Brian for a game where Joseph had 3 Dispels in hand against Ricardo, and this looks like now Joseph's hand looks just abysmal. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Now there's something going on, but Brian can just, say no if he wants to.
Absolutely. One way or another, like, it's not going to stick for very long.
I think this is the right play because Brian does have the desert, so it's never going to attack.
Right.
Joseph could get fancy with the Ephemerate, but Joseph is fighting over the accumulated knowledge, which makes sense. Joseph did describe this as an attrition matchup. So wanting to choke Brian on cards makes some sense.
Yeah.
Does Joseph go for Ephemerate here? If he does, he's going to get blown out.
Well,
no.
Brian's playing very conservatively himself. And there's also the Ghostly Flicker in play now as well. So,
yeah, but Ghostly Flicker doesn't stop.
Brian
Joseph might have just
happen.
Joseph might have just forgotten about Desert. And not that it matters because he does have the Ephemerate, but
yeah, he's got the Ephemerate. He can, if that gets countered, then there's a Dispel. That'll get dispelled, and then Joseph can just Ghostly Flicker.
Yeah, this is why I think I actually would have gone for the Edict here.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph played that very...
Yeah, I would have
Joseph played that perfectly.
Yes, I see that now.
So by...
and that
just the other Ephemerate.
That's fantastic.
Joseph has set himself up very, very well to draw a ton of cards in a few turns.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Brian does have Counterspell Dispel, so Joseph's probably not going to get too far with this just now, but we'll have to see what happens.
But Joseph is his hand is just all land and Ephemerate.
Yeah.
And now if he does this, Brian, he's not risking the Ephemerate.
Mm-hmm.
Another Augur. Is it going to put 3 cards on the bottom of Brian's library?
Probably not. I would, if I was in Brian's shoes, I would be trying to hold up some mana and make sure that I can get in my counter magic when I need to. Because for all Brian knows, Joseph could just have a full grip of gas, and just be waiting for that right moment to snap it all off.
Yeah, but I think Brian. Oh, Devious Cover-Up. That's a good card.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way Joseph's been playing and the way Brian has watched Joseph play, it's been a lot of, how should I put this? Joseph is an aggressive player. And I don't mean this in a bad way. He goes for it. And I think that
makes him have it.
Yeah. Because of how things have been going so far, I think Brian knows that if Joseph had anything, it would be out on the battlefield. That second desert is huge. It turns off Ephemerate, essentially.
Yep.
Do you snap off a counterspell on this? No. So that's deep analysis.
That's fantastic. Because even if that gets countered, then...
No, he's going to counter with Devious Cover-Up.
Yep. That's true.
He doesn't counter it.
Very interesting.
This is some serious discipline from Brian. But you know what? Brian's in the driver's seat here. He's the one attacking. he's the one who can keep Joseph's creatures at bay. He has the counter magic. Joseph has preordain, which is good. He can draw a ton of cards. He can, evoke Mulldrifter, Ephemerate. Oh,
wow, that's a mnemonic wall.
That is a mnemonic wall, but he doesn't have counter magic to defend it.
Yeah. So
he's trying to bait it out.
Yeah.
He just drew the negate.
Wow, there's the negate. So are we gonna go for? Yeah, looks like we're going for the Ephemerate,
which I think Brian would have to snap off the Dispel on. Because that is so many cards. No, he's going for Counterspell. Okay.
No, that's Dispel.
Dispel, okay. So then I think Joseph negates back.
Yep. And then if nothing really happens, then you can always he snapped it.
He snapped it.
I like that play, actually. Because now if Brian tries to snap off a counterspell, then Joseph negates it. And Joseph gets the Ephemerate.
The Ephemerate will fizzle because the target will no longer be legal.
No. Brian's countering the snap.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I see what's going on now. Yeah. I messed up my whole stack plan there just a little bit. Though at that point, would you not just let the counter magic hit the snap and then go for the what is it? The
Ephemerate?
Yes.
I would need to see the stack, and I'll be perfectly honest, it's almost 2 a.m. for me. I'm not sure I'd be able to decipher what's going on.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. Normally, I would be very much in bed by now and be waking up within 4 or 5 hours.
Same. It's like 3 hours past my bedtime. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coffee is a thing that exists.
100%. I'm sitting here just drinking, slamming down way too much caffeine for this time of night. So
Joseph is...
Wow, this is a Mystic Remora now.
Yeah, that seems... But Brian does have the Disenchant.
Yep, sure does.
Ghostly Flicker cannot target enchantments. So... Oh, I think that Mortuary Mire just locked it for Joseph.
Yeah.
I think that he can just... So basically what's going to happen is Mortuary Mire will put whatever creature Joseph wants back on top of the library, and Ghostly Flicker can target lands. So basically, another Mystic Remora, jeez. Brian's played a lot of Vintage, so he knows what that card is.
Yeah. Yeah, Vintage... Remora was already a bit of a pricey Magic card before. And just because of Vintage and the fact that it was in I believe Masters Edition 1. So it wasn't so it really didn't have very much availability behind it. And now it's kind of hard to find. And the price shot up. I think it was only 2 or 3 tickets before the announcement of the unification. Now it's been a little while since I looked, but the last time I looked, it was 9 tickets. So it's kind of gotten a lot more pricey. So given the fact that it's playable in Pauper now.
Brian let Joseph draw 2 cards off of the Mystic Remoras. So Snap gets back Mnemonic Wall.
Yep.
Mnemonic Wall gets back Ghostly Flicker, which was countered. Or no, Ephemerate. Ooh, this is sweet.
Brian yanks out the secret mode of Return to Nature here.
But Joseph's going to get 2 draws.
Target card. Yep, sure does.
Preordain and...
Unknown.
Mnemonic Wall.
Mnemonic Wall, looks like.
Which is fine.
Yep.
Mortuary Mire gets back Mulldrifter, I assume. We'll find out.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
No, Sunscape Familiar.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Brian can just blow up the graveyard. He can go get Nihil Spellbomb, blow up Joseph's graveyard.
Yeah,
and suddenly this game looks a lot different.
But Joseph still gets 2 draws. Plus, then there's going to be a deep analysis coming down. This game is about to get very interesting.
So Joseph draws Preordain and...
Isn't there an Ephemerate in exile too?
It was exiled by the Return to Nature.
Oh yeah, that's correct. So we got double Preordain. Man, it's a lot of good stuff.
And there's the Flicker.
So Joseph pretty much has this cleanly set up at this point.
So if Joseph leads with Mnemonic Wall, Brian likely blows the Spellbomb. No, Joseph can... Yeah, no. Joseph... Is Brian not blowing the Spellbomb? I feel like he has to here.
He's doing it.
He's doing it. And it's just going to backfire because what's going to end up happening is Joseph will then be able to Ghostly Flicker the 2 Mnemonic Walls. And it's only a matter of time until he finds the
snap.
Not even the snap. The Denizen.
Yeah. But he also, to make that work, though, just does also need, I believe, a second familiar as well.
Doesn't need it. It just takes longer. You only iterate 2 mana per loop instead of 1. That's not proper use of the word iterate, but again, 2 in the morning. So it looks like we're going to have a scrum of 2/1 players. So it's going to be...
No, we got a counterspell, but that's probably not going to be enough. Because he's still got the extra mnemonic wall there.
So if everything holds, we're going to have Andreas Peterson, Michael Bunde, myself, Brian Coval, and Ricardo Montagna all tied at 2-1. We're going to have Joseph and you at 1-2 and Evan Irwin at 0-3.
Yeah.
This game is over. Because Joseph just drew Sage's Row Denizen. So even if it gets countered, we can then Ghostly Flicker Mnemonic Wall, redraw it off of a Mulldrifter or a Deep Analysis or whatever. And
there's the other familiar. That's it.
Yeah. We'll see how many cards are left in Brian's library. Can someone in chat see?
32.
32. So that is only 16 blue creatures entering the battlefield.
Yep. And there's Mystical Teachings too.
Huh. Yeah, you let that die. Play a new one. Brian at this point has to be wondering if he's playing another Vintage Super League or the Pauper Premier League at this point. But Joseph is really what we've seen? We've seen the old cards make a huge impact in these leagues, in this league so far, because I was running Goblin Grenade. We've seen Mystic Remor really, really come into play here. Yeah. And then we've also seen Desert have an impact. And, the Red Elemental Blasts. Oh, God, double snap.
Wow.
So
this game
if anyone has ever wanted to see Familiars go off, this is what Familiars going off looks like. We got to see Kendra go off with Elves in game 1 and 2, but this is Joseph's deck doing its thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we're here for. These games have been all pretty crazy. Like you mentioned, in my match against Joseph, I got to show just how much Elves can go off. And I showed that a little bit in my match against Ricardo.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing this where Joseph gets to go off And we even seen Brian really take off with his deck. Like, Teachings is wild to watch in action, and Brian is just piling it like a master.
Yeah, and you know what? He's playing everything perfect, and it is not going to matter because Joseph just drew so many cards off of those Mystic Remorse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, at the start of the day, I started by talking about Arcum's Astrolabe with Brian, and I know you and I actually disagree. You think it's a problem card now, and I think I'm much more on the Brian side of things, where I think it's really good and may be a problem, but I think that the Pauper metagame is pretty slow to adjust to new things. And
sure.
You know what we haven't seen a ton of? Mystic Remorse. But you know what just happened? Mystic Remorse mattered so much in all these games that they came out, and that does it. We have 5-2-1 players. Congratulations to Joseph on getting his win on the night. Brian, you know what? That deck is sweet. I know
I would love to see more of that. I would not be surprised if we started seeing that in some leagues a little bit more.
Brian has said he doesn't think it's great for league play, not because it's a bad deck, but because it's hard to win within the time constraints.
Right, that makes sense.
Which we've seen a lot of tonight. But we've seen some really great Magic. You know, in round one, you just, you know, I said we got to get you some ranch dressing because that was just a true schooling of what elves can do. Match two, sorry, I got my notes right here. We had Brian just putting a clinic on of Teachings versus mid-range. And we got to see what a real hard control deck looks like. Brian then took the next one off of you.
Yes.
That was, you know, you fought back, and I was watching that with Joseph, and we were like,
a big old grind.
Yeah.
It was, and there was a very slight misplay where I probably could have activated my Timber Watch on the Archaeomancer in response to the Echoing Decay, but my brain didn't really process because it's like you kind of have to think like 3 steps ahead of what was going on there, or what was about to happen. And I didn't quite put it all together until like, I don't know, like 10 seconds after it all played out. And I went, wait a second.
I've seen you pilot
dead.
Elves in Paper, and so much of that deck is muscle memory for you at this point. So I don't think playing against, you know, an entirely new deck with this really weird iterative loop is, you know, it happens.
Exactly. So and that's what I said. I'm like, it's over, it's done. Yeah. But we're here to have fun. We're here to really showcase things. Remember, it's not really so much of a tournament as much as it is showing what the Pauper format is capable of.
Speaking of, we then got to see Ricardo take 2 games off of Joseph. We got to then see Ricardo take 2 games off of you. So he bounced back from his early loss to Brian. And then we just saw Joseph get his first win of the night in the last game, showing what Familiars does. You know, we'll be back next week. We got our last 4 players in round 1. So we have Emma Partlow from the Turn 1 Thoughtseize podcast. Yep. We have Chris Van Meter from Card Kingdom, Brian DeMars, and Adam Yurchek. So I'm excited to see what they bring. I already know what Brian DeMars is bringing.
Yeah, I know that as well. I could take a stab at what Emma's going to play because I know she's talked about it extensively in the past, what she likes to play. Okay. So I'm very interested to see how the whole metagame is going to shape out, and especially because, and you know, we know a lot of like what Adam plays as well, but it's really a little bit kind of like anybody's game here. Yeah. CDM kind of likes whatever. He likes a whole bunch of these different decks. And so we could just see just a whole bunch of who knows what. And I'm really excited to see that. But for now, we're going to probably just about end it here. Call it a night. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Cool Stuff Inc. Want to thank Wizards of the Coast for agreeing to help us out and sponsor this. Again, coolstuffinc.com. If you enter the code PPL5, you will get 5% off your order. It doesn't stack with other rewards. But Kendra, I'll see you in 6 days, apparently.
Absolutely. We'll see you then, Alex. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Cool Stuff Inc. Thank you, Wizards of the Coast.
Good night, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody.
Or good morning if you're in England.